Thank everyone for attending this evening. I'd like to welcome you to Chippewa Valley High School's Athletic Awards Night. We're all here tonight to recognize our varsity letter winners for their accomplishments on the field as well as off the field as athletes, peer leaders, and role models. All of our student athletes who have been invited to tonight's program should be honored to be part of a special group. Everyone here tonight, all the parents, grandparents, and other family members, all of the friends, coaches, teachers, as well as many others, are here to support you, the Chippewa Valley student athletes, for all of your accomplishments over this past school year. At Chippewa, the majority of our athletes participate in at least 2 sports, and many participate in 3. Our award system is based upon participation in more than one sport, and as you will see later on, our top award winners are all multi-sport athletes. This year, once again, we have seen over 70% of our student population participate in at least one sport. In the fall, we had 124 participate in athletics. In the winter, we had 104 participants. And this spring, we had 132 of our students involved in our athletic program. Given the size of our school, our students' high level of academic achievement, and the amount of extracurricular activities students are involved in, Chippewa's athletic success is something to be proud of. Our coaching staff certainly is a major factor. However, without a community such as ours, one that values hard work and dedication, our athletic success would not be possible. Here at Chippewa, we recognize the tremendous sacrifices that entire families must make so that our high school students have the opportunity to be involved in our athletic program. Those of you in attendance tonight who have spent time outside of our region know that the kind of support enjoyed here at Chippewa is something that should be appreciated. And on behalf of the entire athletic department, I'd like to give my sincere thanks. Now, to begin the coaches portion of tonight's program, I'd like to introduce our first speaker of the night, our boys soccer coach, Mr. Jim Stinson.
Good evening. This season was one which was filled with a tremendous amount of learning for the boys soccer team. We were a very young team. 10 out of our 11 starters were juniors. 5 of them had little to no varsity experience at the start of the season. As the season moved along, the team learned that in order to be successful, a full effort, both mentally and physically, was required. Problem, we only ever seemed to figure out half of this equation at any given game. The season did bring one of the coolest opportunities to the soccer program. We had the opportunity to play a game that was televised by CPTV Sports. This game was held on October 10th, and in my mind, it was where we came of age as a team. It was a total team effort. Everyone committed to playing tough defense. Everyone on that field walked away getting everything they had. Speaking of that defense, I still don't know, Travis, how you kept that ball from going out of the goal. I have seen that goal line save on the TV numerous time after time after time. I still do not know how you kept that ball from crossing that line. At the end, even though we lost 1-0, it was a game that I was most proud of this season. It spoke to the true capability of this team and why I feel that the future is very bright. We will be returning 10 starters with true varsity experience, and the bench looks to be stronger as well. We did have a few postseason awards. Logan Raz and Christian Stewart were second team All-BL, while Nick Andrews, Dan Geyer, Marcus Fragamelli, and Sam Krebs were honorable mention. I'd like to thank my seniors for their commitment to the program and for the hard work that they put in time and time again, and I'd like to wish the best of luck to Will, David, Warren, Alex, and Dean. Thank you. I would like to now introduce as our next speaker, our girls soccer coach, Tara Flaherty.
Good evening. When I sat down to think about last season, I started to think about wins and losses, our injuries at Mills and throughout the season, our last bus ride home, and I thought to myself that the reason I come back every year is for none of these tangible moments. The reason I coach is for each and every one of the girls. They make the season memorable and at times quite painful. It is their joy and bruises and love of the game that we share. It is the quiet Saturday, misty mornings, the hot August days, and cold October evenings. We had a great season when you look at the stats. We beat Nonawag and Litchfield and played evenly with Mills while we were uninjured. It was a fantastic year, and next year's numbers should be even better. Our seniors should be celebrated for their accomplishments over the past 4 years. They've grown into wonderful young ladies and have represented Chippewa well. Allie, Tia, Summer, Kim, Taylor, and Bria all brought a little something different to our leadership group. Allie was a strong leader on the field. Tia the Tank was an unstoppable force on and off the field. Summer was our social organizer. Kim, Bria, and Taylor were the go-to people when someone was having an issue. Each of these girls gave it their all every day of the season. They're irreplaceable. Our juniors will fill the holes they leave in new and different ways, but each and every one of our seniors have made their mark on Chippewa soccer. And I thank them for letting me into their lives for 4 short years. I will miss each and every one of you. Congratulations on a great season, ladies. I would like to introduce our next speaker, our boys cross country coach, Tom Scroll.
The 2013-14 Chippewa boys cross-country team finished 5th at the Berkshire League Championship out of 9 teams. They weren't happy. Led by Nathan Ong, our lone senior, our Spartans finished their league championship exactly where they should have. Our 7-2 record may have said that a second or third place finish were in order for that day, but our kids learned a valuable cross-country lesson. We call it going to the well. You can only go to the well so many times for a peak effort. These boys had gone to the well several times over the season. The first time came after being destroyed at Mills by the league champion on their so-called cross-country course, a directly through the woods, rock-strewn, single-person wide trail where our Spartans looked like they were tiptoeing through the tulips. 3 days later, we raced at the Cromwell Invitational. The weather was perfect, and the course was as flat as a track. Our boys went to the well. I'm sure they had something to prove to themselves, and they did. Northwest's distance program has a great group of young runners. They beat us. We squeezed past Terryville. The last time we beat Nonawag was at the Berkshire League Championship in 2010, when a frustrated Evan Garrity simply decides to stick it in the eye of the punks who had beat him for 4 years. He passes all of them in the final straightaway, and we win BLs. At Nonawag, a fast course, the Chippewa Spartans went to the well. We beat them by 1 point. Our workouts are strong, so the easy day, hard day method means that our workouts give our runners the opportunity to test the water in the well. Mike Hall has taught me to teach. How do we ask ourselves for more? What always needs to be reckoned with in Berkshire League cross country is that our class double S and M rivals, Northwest, Nonawag, Lewis Mills, and Terryville, will always try to peak at the Berkshire League Championship race. In my 17 years of coaching cross country, I have rarely seen these teams hold something back in preparation for the following week, the CIAC Class Championships. Mills, Nonawag, Northwest, and Terryville slapped us at the Berkshire League Championship. 5th, by all rights, is exactly where we should be. There are 3 weeks to plan for: the League Championship, CIAC Class Championship, and the State Open. For some teams, there's a 4th week, the New England Championship. It has always been clear in the minds of our runners, the Class S State Championship is the one, the peak, the pinnacle, time to go to the well and drink the water. There's no reason to leave 1 glass or 1 drop. Clayton Fermender, Eric Quist, Ed Wolf, Joseph Freeland, Sean Parker, Quentin Walsh, and Steve Williams. In our huddle, Joseph Freeland makes the greatest statement of the entire season. Just run your off. They did. We finished 3rd, 2 points from Class S runner-up. A perfect sting for our team. Finish second, maybe we get cocky. Third, the entire top 7, plus 8 more guys wanting their spots returning, sounds like the perfect storm. Storm? A storm? You mean a storm is brewing? Get ready, batten down the hatches. Hold on tight. This fall, I feel a storm brewing. Let's hope. Thank you to our team parents who helped create our cross-country family atmosphere. Their support, pasta parties, food at the meets, and positive attitude are second to none. Mr. Parachi, of course, for all he does, seen and unseen. Nathan Ong for leading us and for his 4 years of demonstrated effort, and all others who I have not mentioned. I'd like to introduce as our next speaker, our field hockey coach, Sarah Lipinski.
I first want to congratulate all the athletes here tonight. You probably don't quite realize it, but you are all part of a very special athletic community that you will have a difficult time finding anywhere else. The pride and support you have from your teachers, coaches, parents, and community is superior to anything else I have ever seen. So please cherish and enjoy this evening because you've earned it and you should be very proud of your accomplishments. The past couple of years have been what many coaches would classify as growing seasons for Chappaqua Fields hockey. And this past year was what I would like to call a growth spurt. The team is well on its way to reach new heights in about 2 to 3 months, with some dedication and conditioning this summer. Hint, hint. With that being said, this season may not have been the most successful if you were to look at our record, but in terms of individual improvement and success, team camaraderie, and let's not forget fun, this team reigned supreme and brought back some of Chappaqua hockey tradition and pride that we've been longing for. From almost beating #1 Nonawag in our final state tournament game to getting Miss Gallo out in the bouncy house on Fun Day, the season was full of accomplishment, smiles, and laughs. While having a perfect season is every coach's dream, the reality is that if you can make it through the season and learn some things as you go, and peak at the end of the season when it matters most, you know you did something right. This group of girls surely took us on a roller coaster ride with flips and turns and backward loops. The season got off to a great start with 2 wins, a loss, and a win. Then we came up against last year's Berkshire League champions, Thomaston, and lost 0-3. While disappointing, it was at that point that the girls did realize that they could play with any team in the league when all of their stars were aligned just right. However, it just wasn't in the stars quite yet. And in true roller coaster fashion, we lost, won, lost, won, lost, won, then lost, and squeezed in 1 win before heading into the state tournament. Our first state tournament game was a qualifier game against Enfield, and it clicked. The team that walked off the field was the Chappaqua Fields hockey team at its finest, and we were off to play #1 Nonawag. We had already played them twice and lost both times, but if we could play them the way we played at Enfield, we could beat them, and we knew it. The game was fantastic and scoreless until 5 minutes left in the game, when Nonawag scored a questionable corner. I'm not one to make excuses, but a blow the whistle would have changed the game. And to back me up, one of our most dedicated, loyal, and knowledgeable fans, who shall remain nameless, was respectfully asked to leave the game because he was so upset. And that is all I will say about that. But what I will say with great pride is that the team that walked off the field that day was the kind of Chappaqua Fields hockey team that we strive for every year. They played with passion and never ever gave up and worked together like they had never worked together before, and lost with dignity and class, and at the peak of their season, all of the stars were finally aligned. To wrap up our season, the team received several accolades that were very much deserved. Seniors Hannah Redstone and Veronica Winthrop received first team Berkshire League honors and also received second team All-State honors. Junior Kelsey Johnson was a first team Berkshire League All-Star and also was selected to play in the All-State Junior Select Showcase. We had 2 girls named to second team All-League, junior Molly Mercier and sophomore Mary Beth Seeger, and 1 honorable mention All-League player, sophomore Haley Pesci. Our high scorers for the season were juniors Caitlin Smith with 10 goals and 2 assists, and sophomore Haley Pesci with 7 goals and 6 assists. I'd like to note that these 2 girls alone scored more goals this year than our team did all season 2 years ago. So in terms of growing, we are well on our way. Our team was led by a great group of seniors, Olia, Maria, Sasha, Kaylee, Hannah, and Veronica. We wish you all the best of luck next year, and please keep in touch. We love when you come back to visit, and we hope that field hockey will always have a place in your heart. There are so many ways to give back to the sport should the opportunity be available to you. We'd also like to send extra love to Hannah and Veronica, who will continue their field hockey careers at Nichols College and Eastern Connecticut State University, respectively. We're looking forward to following you in the next step of your career. We also would like to make sure that we thank all the people that really round out our season and make it so special. The Redstones and the Smiths for opening their homes to some preseason and postseason parties, the parents who make it out to all our games, the bus drivers who get us there, Chris for keeping us healthy, and Katie Perka for staying involved and helping us out, and Mr. Prachi for making sure that we have games to play and for all the behind-the-scenes work that you do. As coaches, we would not be able to do the jobs that we do without all of your support. And lastly, I'd like to present Ms. Gallo and Mr. Prachi with the Berkshire League Sportsmanship Award for the 2013 field hockey season. We take great pride in this award, and despite our unruly fans in our last game, we were able to pull it all together and are honored to present this to you. I invite Hannah and Clara up for a special presentation before our next coach, and I think maybe just Clara.
Can I have Oya and Elena come up, if they're here? Neither of them are here? Okay, well, I'll just read this anyway. On behalf of all the student athletes, we'd like to thank you for being a part of our sports programs and wish both of you well as you return to your home countries of Kazakhstan and Italy, and they get these nice vests to bring with them back to their home countries.
I would like to introduce our next speaker, our girls cross-country coach, Mike Hall.
As you all know, we usually have to keep our speeches in 3 minutes and keep it pretty general. We're not supposed to single anybody out. So what I'd like to do is, for the rest of the girls on the team, I want to say thank you, and each one of you, has a special place in my heart for the last 4 years. I have a special memory for each one of you, and I thank you for that. I'm really sorry. I didn't think I'd get emotional like that. I'm going to start with usually three. Man, I can't even do this right now. It's because these two individuals are really special. Just trying to compose myself, so I'm sorry. Each of the last 3 years that I've stood up here, I've talked about sorry, the different accomplishments and the different little individual highlights of the season. I'd like to do something a little different this year, and I'd like to talk about Clara and Kelsey. It may not seem fair to single these two out, but they're the face of Chippewa girls cross country. They came up 4 years ago, very highly anticipated. I have one of the seniors, I believe Gina DeMeo, said, we are going to be so much better with Kelsey and Clara. And that was true. They took the team from a second to last place finish at the state championship all the way up to 5th place. I just wish that over the years, I could have maybe given the other girls a better experience to stay around, because We were looking really poised to do something special this last season, but just not having the numbers, we weren't able to get that done. The truth is, they have been the true leaders for 4 years on this team, and I have not mentioned them once. They have been first and second in every single workout, in every single run, and first and second for Chippewa in every single race. I did the quick math, that's over 240 times in 4 years, coming in first and second. I think of these two names as synonymous, Kelsey and Clara. When talking to the newspaper, they would ask how Chippewa did, but they would say, where did Kelsey and Clara finish? They are examples of hard work and dedication. They medaled together 6 times at the Berkshire League Championships, placed in the top 12 in the state meet 3 times, highlighted by Clara's 2nd overall finish in Berkshire League this year, and 2nd consecutive all-state selection. One of the things I'd like to leave you on is a quote that I think personifies them. It's an Aristotle quote. It says, "To be excellent, we cannot simply think or feel excellent. We must act excellently." And that is what those girls have done for 4 years. I wish them luck in college next year, and I hope that the girls that return can use Kelsey and Clara as an example for how to act, how to run, and how to be cross-country runners. So I thank you for your time tonight. And I'd like to introduce our next speaker, our ice hockey coach, Mike Gora.
Thank you, Mike. So, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Mike Gora, and I'm the head coach for what's a co-op team of Chippewa, Litchfield, and Nottawag. This season, we had 10 students and 3 most excellent managers from Chippewa that joined 6 from Nottawag and 3 from Litchfield. So, since you need 13 and 15 on a team, the co-op allows these 3 schools to have a team where they wouldn't otherwise. There's only one other team in the Berkshire League, and that's Housatonic, who combines with Northwestern and Wamogo. So we don't play in the Berkshire League, but we play actually in what is now a combined league of the SWC, the Southwest Conference, and the SCC, Southern Connecticut Conference. So we play against some pretty big schools. Though this year our record was 5-15, and it wasn't as good as last year, I think the team would agree. We felt better about it this year. Our losses were much more competitive than in years past. Key moments this season were, if you were at the games, a 2-1 overtime loss to Watertown Pomprog, which was kind of a bummer, but they're a Division II co-op team. And then we lost twice to Housatonic, which really stings, but we outshot them 72-33 in those two games, losing 2-0 and 1-0. If you were at the last game of the season at the Gunnery, you saw quite a game. Due to the change in the tournament rules this year, we actually were able to play in the tournament. They take 16 teams in Division III and play. So for the first time in several years, we did have a state tournament game. We played Sheehan High School of Wallingford. They're the number 3 seed, and we played them twice earlier in the season and lost 9-2 and 9-4. In this tournament game, the guys played great, and girls played great. You can't forget my daughter, can I? Jesus. Played great, and we came back from deficits of down 0-3 and down 2-6, and came back and made it 6-4. So I was really proud of them in their first tournament game in quite some time. Since we play in the SWC, SCC, all league selections are also not in the Berkshire League, but they're in that league. So this season, junior Andrew Loya who's number 2 in scoring in the league, was selected first team All-League. His play also earned him first team All-State in Division III. Also, I think of recognition, though he didn't get an all-league nod, junior Christian Stewart was 5th in the league in points and 3rd in assists, and he was also a leader on the team. Congratulations. And I don't know if they do this in other sports, but in hockey they had a junior select team, and Andrew was selected to play on the junior select team from Connecticut. They played against a junior select team from Massachusetts, so that's also quite an honor. And that's not just Division III; that is all 3 divisions. So, top maybe 18 skaters in the juniors in the state. This year, the players on the team were senior Kyle Goldstein. Kyle, we'll miss you after 3 years. Good luck. Senior managers Tia Martino, Kelsey Hall, and Kim Valentine. 2 of them actually swam at the same time that they were managers, so they had quite a busy winter, and I really appreciate all the support that you gave the team during the season. Juniors Andrew Loya, Christian Stewart, Travis Fitch. Sophomores David DeMeo, Will Coakley, Creighton Moore. Freshmen Thomas Roach, Bobby Wilson, and Madeline Gora. Since we are only losing 2 players, a senior from Nottawag and Kyle as he moves on, and have some talented players coming into the program, we really look strong for next season, and I expect to be at least in the middle of Division III next year, and hope to compete in at least the league tournament. Ending up, I'd like to thank all the fans who made it out to the Gunnery for the games. Those of you that did make it, it's an experience. Yes, it's cold, but it's a lot of fun, and the team really appreciated it when the stands were full. We saw a lot of new people there, and we hope to see you next year as well. I want to thank my assistant coach, Mr. Jason Conway, goalie coach Stephen Cornell, the parents of the players who drove their kids to and from practices and late nights, the Booster Club that raises money so that we can have this team, and then I also want to thank the administration here at Chippewa. Actually, the trainer Chris Schneider, who stood right in front of the air conditioning fan at the Gunnery. Believe it or not, they have an air conditioning fan in the middle of the winter, and she had to stand right in front of it for every single game. I want to thank the athletic director, Mr. Parachi, for his continued support of this program. And then lastly, the Chippewa players, who I had a great, fun season, and looking forward to a successful 2014-15. Thank you. I'd like to introduce our next speaker, our swim coach, Todd Dyer.
Good evening. First off, I'd like to offer my congratulations to all the athletes, coaches, teams, and especially the parents on this special night. As we began the season this year, we knew we had the potential to be one of the strongest seasons in recent years. We had a great coaching staff with both Steve Toth and Lauren Huntback, and we started the season with 35 athletes on the roster, including 14 outstanding seniors. Opened up the season against Watertown and Lewis Mills. Those were both wins. And then we came winter break, and we faced Sacred Heart. Sacred Heart has been a perennial powerhouse, winning state championships over the last few years. We have not beaten them, and so going into that meet, I knew we had the opportunity this year to push them. The meet started out really well, and we had a number of wins in key places. Mairead dove amazingly. She was on fire and broke up the Sacred Heart diving block. They had like 8 or 9 divers. The meet came down to the 4 free relay. At that point, I knew that we at least had a tie. For the win, we had to go 1-3. Lead off swims, and it was clear right from the beginning that we had first place. But did we have third? Quick look showed that not only did we have third, but we were holding off for second. Ray Cook, along with the rest of his relay team members, left all they had in the pool and we ended up going 1-2 for the big win. Sacred Heart was set the tone for the rest of the season, put us in the running for another top 5 finish at States. Knowing that we knocked off Sacred Heart put us with the option, of being in that top 5 again. Next big challenge was Northwest. Northwestern has been coming on the last few years. They have a number of athletes that have committed to year-round training, and we knew this year would be no different. With over 60 athletes on their team, they define depth, and they also have a front line. Northwest has raised the bar in competition in the Berkshire League and in the state, and as Coach Scarola says, that's what it's all about. When your opponent pushes you to excel, and you rise to meet that challenge. We did, but in the end, Northwest's depth was too much for us at both dual meets. We bested all the other teams that we faced, and we finished this season with a 14-2 record. Entering the season championship, we were ready to demonstrate the skills that we had worked all season to hone. First up was Splash Championship. Our girls outperformed all their expectations, and the energy was infectious. I gotta say, it was one of the best meets I've ever been a part of. Every single swim that we went in, it was just unbelievable what the girls were doing, and that just built up. At the end, Clara Wolf earned Splash Champion honors for her blazing swim in the 200 freestyle. From there, we went to an outstanding showing at League Championship, finishing 2nd overall. We had first place finishes in the 200 medley relay, 200 freestyle relay, 400 freestyle relay, 100 fly, 100 free, 200 IM, 200 free, and 500 free, along with handfuls of season's best and personal bests. Double winners this year came from sophomore Colin Decker and senior Clara Wolf. The 200 medley relay, consisting of Freddie Pitcher, David Geyer, Colin Decker, and Nathan On, swam one of the best swims that I've seen in my career. I will remember that forever, especially Colin's split in the fly when he just burned up the pool. Their time of 1:44.05 set a new school record. A reporter came over to me after the meet and said he'd never seen a guy my size jump that high. Colin won both the 200 IM and the 100 freestyle, both new school records, and the 200 IM was a new league record. For his outstanding efforts, Colin was named the Berkshire League MVP for the 2nd year in a row. Congratulations. In addition to Colin, Clara, David, Freddie, and Nathan, our BL All-Star athletes this year included Ken Buell, Haley Pesci, Margot Wilhelm, Kelsey Hall, and Clay Fermender. Nice job. For league competition, from there we entered states with the goal of improving on our 5th place finish the year before and knocking off Northwest. We thought we could do it. Northwest was better than us in a dual meet where their numbers could come into play. They were better than us at the dual meet or the Berkshire League Championship where they can score a lot further than they can at states. We had the top end, and we gave it everything we had. But in the end, they had a little bit more than we did with numbers. But we were happy with 4th. Went us, Northwest for 3rd, Sacred Heart for 2nd, and Weston for 1st. And we were in the mix, and we were really excited about that. Colin earned all-state honors and 2 more school records for his swims in the 50 free and the 100-yard fly. His swims also gave him the opportunity to swim at state opens, where he finished 14th and 23rd, respectively. Thank you to our managers, Emma Verbickus and Dylan Fairburn. As I've told Emma repeatedly throughout the season, the home meets would not have run without her. I would like to offer special recognition to the 12 graduating seniors for their leadership, both in and out of the pool. Chippewa is losing a tremendous amount of talent and leadership in this senior class. To Clara, Kelsey, Kim, Elena, Mairead, Nathan, Freddie, Dakota, Ken, David, Thomas, and Nate, it is amazing to me that 4 years have passed since we were without a pool and swimming in Devereaux. You all were a huge part of the success the last 4 years. Thank you for your time, your commitment, dedication, and enthusiasm. Your coaches wish you good luck in your future endeavors, and remember, you will always be part of the Chippewa swimming family. As many of you know, I've decided to step down as coach. Back in 1993, when I started coaching, I never imagined that 20 years would pass this quickly, and that I would still be coaching. The past 8 years of coaching Chippewa have been among the most memorable of my career. I have been privileged to work with so many talented and committed athletes, to be a part of their lives, and for them to be a part of mine. I will miss you all. To the parents, special thank you for the endless hours that you put in driving to and from the pool, getting up early on Saturdays, coming to AM challenges at 5:40 in the morning because your coach is crazy. Support at all our meets and the delicious breakfasts. Thank you to Mr. Prachi and Principal Gallo for the support over the many years. And thank you again to all of the athletes for an exciting season. It's now my pleasure to introduce Karen Piskuskas.
Our girls' basketball team stepped on the court in November with 12 girls for 2 teams. 12's enough for 1 team, let alone 2. There wasn't a senior among them, and only 2 had some real varsity experience from the year before. As a first-year coach here at Chippewa, I looked at this as a very challenging but yet welcoming opportunity. The girls were anxious to get started, and together with co-captains juniors Kelsey Johnson and Caitlin McGrath, we pushed forward and began our quest to begin building the foundation our team would stand on not only for this year, but for the next few to come. I can't say that we were slow out of the gate, as we lost our first game by a mere 3 points. We showed we could be competitive for as young as we were, and for our lack of a deep bench. We moved on to win 3 of our first 6 games, and going into the new year at 3-3 wasn't half bad. We also had the leading scorer in the league at that time, sophomore Caroline Kelly, and she was averaging some 18 points per game. I would say, again, not so bad so far. As we got into the meat of our season, games became tougher with tougher opponents, and opposing teams were able to see our weakness and strength in numbers, so they began to capitalize. With that, though, we began to develop as a team. Sophomore Sam Moravsky realized she could swing playing point guard and also score, and freshman Paige Johnson became our defensive weapon, shutting out other opponents' best players out of games. With Caroline being double-teamed all the time, Kelsey picked up the slack offensively, and Caitlin became a rebounding force to deal with. So we were learning, growing, and playing cohesively. Our bench of sophomore Bianca Gomez and freshman Sam Patrick also added spark when needed as well. We went on to win 3 more games to end our season at 6-14. We were actually peaking as our season ended, as our last 2 weeks of basketball were assertive, hard-hitting, and showed lots of determination. In several ways, it was too bad the season was over, as our offense and defense were coming together and we were truly playing like a unit. So as we move forward to next year, we can continue building on our foundation with 2 noble, well-respected leaders, a solid starting 5, and an entire team that is hungry to get back into the league and state tournaments and begin to make a name for themselves once again. Thank you. Our boys basketball coach, Matt Lefebvre.
Good evening. Some of you may know me, some may not. I was hired in, right around when Karen was hired in October of this past year. I had spent 6 years at Northwestern before that. I was very, very pleased to be offered the job by Mr. Parachi. I knew that would be a great athletic director to work with. I came in not knowing any of our athletes here at Chippewa, other than maybe by face. In the basketball program, we have some great challenges lined up. The year before, we had graduated several seniors. The group coming back was very young and didn't have a whole lot of varsity experience. We started preseason workouts without a basketball in November. I was very pleased that we had very, very good attendance. The enthusiasm was very good. We rolled into December, and we immediately started working hard. And the kids all the way through worked very, very hard. You know, we pushed them very hard, myself, Coach Dennis, and Coach Pickett. We would practice the maximum amount of times we could. We would practice Sunday mornings. we instituted a Sunday practice where we'd go 12 to 2. I'd get there at 11, really testing out my guys to see who might show up. And to my pleasant surprise, we would get about half the roster showing up 11, 11:15, willing to work real hard. The guys worked hard consistently throughout. They had great hurdles to overcome in the season, not only youth, but simply height, size, weight. But they worked very hard all the way throughout, even up to the last weekend, where the last weekend of the season, on our Sunday morning practice, we probably had a dozen guys there an hour early. I was very, very impressed by that. We played 8 core guys, only one of which was a senior, our captain, Josh Retzel, and otherwise we went primarily with 4 juniors and 3 sophomores. We asked a lot out of them because the guys rightfully should have had the ability to season themselves by playing a bit more junior varsity basketball, but we threw them into the fire. They worked valiantly hard all the way through the season, and we're going to have those 7 core guys coming back, and also hopefully a couple of our freshmen who are developing and developed rapidly. So we're very excited about what we may be able to do in this coming season. We were voted winners of the Sportsmanship Award by the Berkshire League coaches, which was terrific. It showed that our guys went out and worked hard each and every time. They looked to play the game the right way. They worked extremely hard on the court. Every game, whether it was a game that was close or a game that we might be down 10, 20 points, they just kept on working hard, and that came through in terms of how they were viewed and respected around the league, and I was very pleased to see that. We have great enthusiasm coming into the coming year. I'd like to now present to both Mr. Paracci and Ms. Gallo the Berkshire League Sportsmanship Award. I'm looking forward to seeing my guys playing hard this summer, and we're really looking forward to a significant improvement coming up this coming year. Our next speaker will be our cheerleading coach, Alicia Ignaro.
Paracci said I couldn't wing it, so I wrote something. This season had a lot of firsts for the Spartan cheerleaders. It was my first season coaching, and for almost half of our team, their first time cheerleading. It was also the first time in several years that the squad had and kept a team of 14 members. Over the course of the 16-week season, which, believe it or not, is the longest athletic season, probably not your best choice for your first coaching season, but totally worth it, I saw these girls come together and become something more than a team. They became a cheer family. Together they worked on their motions, jumps, dance, and stunting to create crowd-pleasing routines. Through their hard work, they brought the spirit back to Chippewa, supporting not only the boys and girls basketball teams, but also the swim team and hockey team. I couldn't be prouder of all that they accomplished this season rebuilding the Spartan cheerleaders. To our graduating seniors, Bria, Summer, and Kaylee, thank you for being exceptional team leaders. These girls will have very big shoes to fill next year. To the parents that supported us, all our cheer moms and cheer dad, I would have been lost without you at all of our games, and even the cheerleading competition we went to see. It was an exciting first season, and I look forward to many more. Thank you. I would like to introduce our next speaker, our girls tennis coach, Joanne Kelly.
There's a little-known flu that is largely prevalent only among high school coaches called overly optimistic expectations syndrome. It is a completely random illness in that it can strike a coach of teams of all levels of talent. None of us certainly ever want it. To be proactive in avoiding this syndrome, most coaches would agree that a very good way would be to graduate 60% of your lineup from a team that was only 500 and have more sophomores than upperclassmen returning. Fortunately, as I approached the tryouts for this spring, I felt in excellent health. But symptoms started to appear almost immediately. A familiar face returned to tennis for her senior year. A sophomore defected from track. A couple of freshmen showed promise. I felt hopeful. Oh dear, not good. Okay, so set some realistic goals. Work hard, learn, end the year better than you start. All good, healthy choices. But other thoughts crept in. Finish in the top half, qualify for states. Here we go. The weather would provide lots of symptom relief. Spring in New England is often just a cruel joke. Most of it spent in winter jackets and under blankets. Cold was frequently followed by brutal cold, and the wind this year was particularly relentless. On the weather front, I give all Chippewa athletes a lot of credit, but especially tennis players. A tennis ball is 2 inches wide and 2 ounces, and it weighs 2 ounces, and is covered with lots of wind-grabbing fuzz. Imagine what a 30-mile-an-hour gust can do. Imagine lining up for a forehand and having to change to a backhand in mid-stroke, or having to take 4 or 5 extra steps in the middle of one swing. The silver lining was that nothing relieved syndrome symptoms better than watching a game that barely reminds you of tennis at all. Despite the weather, these girls actually wanted to go out and practice, and they listened and they worked hard and they were improving. After a somewhat bumpy start, the girls came together and settled into a solid lineup. Only very strong teams at Thomaston and Litchfield would get the best of us all season. An early loss to Northwestern would be avenged with a 6-1 win on their courts, and a sweep of Nonawag are highlights of an overall 11-5 campaign and a solid third-place league finish. All of our starters, 4 singles and 3 doubles, would post winning records. At singles, Caroline Kelly, Kate Klein, Haley Pesci, and Molly Mercier often beat more experienced upperclassmen. Our doubles teams, Maddie Gora and Jackie Dorwald, Katie Tracy and Emma Verbicus, Kim Valentine and Alden Kane would also fight tirelessly. More good news would come at the BL tournament. In the singles, Molly would battle hard but lose in the first round. Haley would win round 1 and before losing to a strong Thomaston number 2. And Caroline's highlight would be avenging both Haley's loss and her own O2 record last year against that same Thomaston senior, a win that would earn her BL All-Star recognition. However, it was our doubles teams that really bared their teeth a bit and took the tournament by surprise. Our number 1 team of Maddie and Jackie and our 3 team of Kim and Alden would both make it to the quarterfinals, and our number 2 team of Katie and Emma left a few players upset and a couple of coaches speechless as they fearlessly ground their way through the number 1 team from Northwestern, then the number 1 team from Lewis Mills, before finally falling only to the all-star number 1 team from Thomaston in the semifinals. My symptoms were returning as we anticipated the state tournament draw. Lucky for me, but not so lucky for my girls, by a somewhat cruel twist of fate, we would draw an all-too-familiar first-round foe in Litchfield. Litchfield came out on top once again, closing the books on the team's 2014 season. Individually, 3 of our players, Caroline, Maddie, and Jackie, will be heading to West Hartford tomorrow to compete in the Connecticut State Open, so wish them luck when you see them. I want to thank all the girls for their hard work and commitment this year. An extra thanks goes out to Gemma Roche, Emma Lovelace, Anna O'Rourke, and Ashley Wagenblass, who were our girls off the bench this year to fill in varsity spots when needed. Your willingness to step in was noticed and appreciated. We say goodbye to 2 seniors, co-captains Kim Valentine and Katie Tracy. Kim returned to the courts after a 2-year detour through track and field and never missed a beat. Katie is without a doubt one of the hardest working players I have coached in 13 years. Kim and Katie's leadership, compassion, loyalty, and commitment, in my mind, epitomize the best of Spartan athletics. We thank you for letting us share a small part of your journey and wish you good luck as you head off to the good things we know are ahead for both of you. Thank you, parents, for your unwavering support and, of course, for providing the all-important snacks. A special shout out to Katie's Grandma Dutton, who took us under her wing and became a surrogate Scottish grandma to all of us. Thank you to Mr. Parachi for putting up with the scheduling and the rescheduling and then the rescheduling again that often happens in tennis. As I look forward, I realize that most of this team will be back next season. With a lot of work and practice and a little bit of luck, next year might just be our year. Oh no, here come those symptoms again. I would like to introduce our next speaker, our boys tennis coach, David Bomas.
Thank you all for coming tonight. What kind of season was it for our team? Well, by the time we got our uniforms, we had already played 11 of our 18 matches. Due to the weather in our schedule, which Coach Kelly just talked about, we had fewer outdoor practices than any team I've had in 11 years of coaching tennis. Since our team was so inexperienced, that lack of practice time really hurt us. What else happened this season? We had a player quit the team with 2 weeks left. I've never had that before. Our lineup never was completely settled. My number 1 and 3 players swapped positions late in the season, and we used 8 different combinations at number 2 doubles. It was that kind of year. But we knew it would be a challenging season after losing most of the players who had lasted 3 straight second-place finishes in the Berkshire League. Our final record was 6-12. We were just a few third-set tiebreaker victories away from going 9-9 and qualifying for the States. But due to our inexperience, we lost many close matches. After all, only 1 player on our team had played in more than 4 varsity matches last year. We also had 2 freshmen in our lineup, along with a junior who had never played tennis before, and asked me at our preseason meeting if we needed to own a tennis racket to come out for the team. That junior, by the way, ended up being voted our most improved player, and he did buy a tennis racket. Good job, Andrew Grenier. It was a memorable season. It was a memorable season in more ways than one. We were probably the only team in the state with a player who had a choice each day of driving either a Jeep or a motorcycle to school. We had another player who at the beginning of the season was best friends with an imaginary rabbit named Harvey. Then there was a day we were trounced by one of the better teams in the league. When we got on the bus afterwards, I said to the kids, "We got our butts kicked today." One of our players, and he's sitting in this auditorium tonight, responded by saying, "We should play them butt naked next time." For the record, I did not take him up on his suggestion. So what did we get out of this season? By watching Jared Plord, our number 1 player, keep smiling and trying his best while being overpowered by much stronger players, we learned that tennis is still a game, not a matter of life and death. By watching our captain, Ryan Ballard, struggle through a number of frustrating matches against opponents he was clearly better than, we learned that you sometimes just have to find a way to persevere. By watching Anthony Amato conduct himself with class on the tennis court each day, regardless of the outcome, we learned how to act. Those are all great lessons. But now we have to learn how to win, how to chase down every ball and scrap for every point, and how to win those matches not only against inferior opponents, and not only against opponents with whom we are evenly matched, but even against a superior opponent. High school tennis is unique. It's a team sport, but it's also such an individual sport. Yes, we have double matches, but we have no relay races, no fast breaks, no double plays, which require perfectly executed teamwork. The best tennis player in the state can still play for a winless team. I've seen it happen. To get Chepaug tennis back to the level it has been, we need to find that inner drive to win. The swim team here refuses to lose. Can we get the same attitude in our tennis team? That's my challenge for my returning players. As I told them on several occasions this year, I can't force you to care whether we win or lose as a team. That's something that can only come from you. Will we rise to the challenge? Come back a year from now and you'll find out. Until then, we have a lot of work ahead. I would like to introduce as our next speaker our boys track coach, Jimmy Lowe.
All right, this season was definitely an interesting one. There was battling the ongoing raid of tennis balls that found their way to track practice every day. I would take all of them and then somehow they'd pop up again the next day. We had the dynamic distance duo of Ed Wolf and Sean Parker doing their best to get under my skin every single day, which did work. I had the distance crew taking their sweet old time every day, trying to go on their runs. And then we had mat day. Mat day is a dreadful thing for a coach, a track coach. Kids tend to take a little bit more time to come out, especially the upperclassmen, led by no other than Margot Wilhelm. Ironically, the mats were for her, so baffled me every single day we did. Nonetheless, the track season started off with freezing temperatures, running through hallways, agility work, lots of squat and leg work. We turned the corner this season by having a 5-4 record and positioning ourselves to compete at the top of the league next year. With only 2 seniors and 4 juniors, tons of valuable experience was gained. Junior Clayton Tremender led a strong distance crew, which used this season as a stepping stone towards the state title next year. Junior James Kish led the throwers, while seniors Nate Ong and David Geyer led the sprints and jumps. Sophomore Quentin Walsh emerged as one of the top sprint mid-distance runners in the league. He placed 4th in the 400 FBLs and anchored our 4x8 team with the fastest leg out of anyone in the league. At the Class S state meet, our 4x8 participated. Quentin placed 8th in the 400. Clayton, Ed Wolf, and Sean Parker all ran well in the 2-mile, and James Kiss participated in the shot put. The future looks bright, led by our sophomore class. I would like to recognize our 2 seniors, Nate Ong and David Geyer. Nate was a 4-year participant who excelled at pole vault. He was on his way to breaking the school record in pole vault until a nagging quad injury derailed the second half of the season. David came back for his senior year and was an integral piece of the sprinting crew and also anchored our 4x1 team. Both are great young men who will succeed in their future endeavors, and I wish them the best of luck. I would like to thank John, Lauren, Matt Parachi, our janitors, all of our help at our home track meets, families, Tom Scarola, Mike Hall, and of course our senior track girls for all the memories that I will forever cherish. Thank you. I'd like to introduce as our next speaker, the other half of greatness, girls track coach John Adams here.
Thank you, Jimmy. The other half of greatness. Jim Lowell graduated from Chippewa Valley, not known by his math skills, but rather the ability to sweat through shirts. I would first like to commend the girls on a very successful season. This was my first year coaching the girls track and field team, so at the beginning of the year, I laid out some goals and expectations to what I thought that they could achieve by the end of the year. And I can say with confidence that they far exceeded those goals. This was only achievable because of our dedicated group of seniors led by Clara Wolf, Kelsey Hall, Hannah Redstone, Taylor Weston, and Tia Martino. These seniors are a tremendous group of girls who have the qualities that every coach looks for in an athlete. I will miss their leadership and dedication and wish them the best next year. I secondly would like to briefly acknowledge some of the year's achievements. I could talk for 20 minutes about this team's achievements, but I won't. The girls team finished 5th in BLs with 5 league all-stars. We had 11 athletes qualify for the Class S state championship, which is more than half our team, during which the 4x800 meter relay, consisting of only freshmen, finished 7th place out of 20, which is an incredible achievement. The 4x400 meter relay team, consisting of Kelsey, Sam Patrick, Caitlin, and Margot, finished 4th place and earned an opportunity to compete in the State Open Championship on Monday. I also want to congratulate Samantha Morawski, who is a very special athlete who we will be hearing for many years. Only after 7 weeks of learning how to throw the javelin, she accomplished many big things. She was a league champion, Class S state champion, and broke the school record. This is a tremendous achievement for anyone, but to do it in 7 weeks is really something special. So make sure you keep your eyes on the paper for her name. After the Class S state championship, I found myself reflecting on the year. And some things that I will miss will be walking back to my car after a middle school track meet, surrounded by parents and other teachers. And as I turn around a corner, right when I get to my car, I see my car very nicely decorated with flowers. This can only be from the distance team as they go on long runs off the campus. So as I'm struggling to keep my composure, because I'm surrounded by parents and other coaches and teachers, just trying to, I can't explain myself obviously to all these parents, just trying to nonchalantly take the flowers off the car as I can just sense them looking at me with confusion. So that is something I will definitely cherish. Now, if anybody is missing any flowers from their garden, please let me know and I will surely add hills to their next workout. Okay, I want to thank my co-coach Jim Lowell, who made the transition to the track and field team very easily and somewhat painless. I want to thank Lauren, the assistant coach, who was a very useful resource and did an excellent job helping. Mr. Parachi for always being there with scheduling and helping me through some situations. And also Chris for keeping our athletes healthy at all times. I also want to thank all the parents for helping driving the athletes to and from practice and our track meets, which sometimes consisted of our drives to other schools. So thank you very much. I would like to introduce our next speaker, softball coach Steve Pickett.
At the beginning of the year and throughout the year, I talked to the team about getting 12 wins and a chance to get to a home tournament game. We just missed it last year. Turns out 12 wins would have done it. We struggled with the top 4 teams in the league, and for the most part took care of business with the rest of the league. We finished with 11 wins and an always fun 2-hour bus ride to Uncasville. It was the 3rd year in a row we improved our win total. We did not have many close games this year. In our losses, the average score was 12-3. In our wins, the average score was 15-3. It was really a good year, though. We did what we probably should have done. We could have done better. One more win would have been nice. That lost to Junior Kelsey Johnson made a first-team All-Star and was selected to play in the Junior All-Star Select Game. Freshman Annie Rosa made honorable mention All-Star. We had 5 seniors this year who, when we started, we were really struggling. We won 3 games that first year. And if it wasn't for Glenn Clare, we probably wouldn't have won any. We had 5 seniors this year who will be missed. Kaylee Munson and Summer Mercier both made second-team All-Star. Mairead Rosa made honorable mention All-Star. Bria Noon, who every time she went up to the plate walked. They were afraid of her. And Olga Pavlova, who played for the first time, and it was really a pleasure to coach. We have enough returning players to be good again next year. Let's just win 12 games. I'd like to thank Matt Parachi and Chris Schneider for her help. And I'd like to introduce our next speaker, baseball coach Scott Werkhoff.
Good evening. I'd like to congratulate all the athletes here tonight and their parents. I'd like to thank the parents of all of our athletes for your tireless commitment and support of your sons and daughters throughout the year. I'd like to thank our coaching staff, Coaches Kirsten and Conway, Mr. Wright, Chris Schneider, our trainer, keeping us on the field, and of course Mr. Parachi and Mrs. Gallo for their continued support of the baseball program and all athletic programs. This year's team showed improvement as we made our way back into the state tournament after a way too long absence of 2 years. And I feel the last 4 games of this year showed the type of team that I was hoping we were going to be. I think I had a little bit of that flu Mrs. Kelly was talking about. And but that I really think that we can be next year. These last few games started with the way we approached the game and our expectations going in. And I think we found when we expect to do well that good things usually happen. Just something to think about as we head to next year. We had some individual honors this year. Logan and Travis were both named first team All-League. Wes, Ryan, and John Ryan, and John received honorable mention, and I believe there was some sort of record set for most players holding hands with girlfriends around the hallways during the day. Even the sophomores. This year we're saying goodbye to 5 seniors. Alex Amato and Josh Retzel are spending most of their year on the DL, but we certainly appreciate their sticking with it and continuing to be a positive influence on the guys throughout the season. Big Alex Kleisner, what a great example of what being committed to something can do for you, for everybody else here. And Sam Jones and Wes Meeker maybe didn't have quite the seasons that we were hoping for, but they certainly came out at the end and picked it up when we needed to and really helped us get into the tournament and play well at the end. We wish you 5 the best as you leave here and you go off to your next adventures. A couple things that I got my chicken scratch here, I'll read it. A couple things that I will remember this team for. One is your strong finish and for getting us back into the tournament and putting us on the path to return to where I think we belong next year at the top of the league. Mostly, in what turned out to be a pretty difficult spring, for what you guys, the support that you gave me and my family. Thank you.
During the past 4 years, Berkshire League teams came into the season knowing that the league title belonged to Lewis Mills. They were that dominant over the 4 years, basically unbeatable. But Mills had lost their 4 top players, so now, some other teams, the door was going to open up. 6 evenly matched teams. Chappaqua was one of the 6. Even though we had lost our LeBron James of golf, Neil Landrigan, who had been our #1 player for the last 4 years, we thought we could compete for a league title. We returned the odd couple, Robert McCarthy and Griffin Yalaga. Both had shown flashes of excellence playing behind Mia. We also returned our #5 man from last year, Mr. Hockey himself, Andrew Loya. The key to the season, however, would rest upon who would emerge to play the pivotal #4 and #5 spots. Among that group would be Tommy Spray It McCluskey, Junior Joseph the Flash Freeland, and Junior Mike Mad Dog Taylor. Other team members were Senior Kyle Goldstein, Juniors Zach the Hinge Collette, Brendan Where's My Ball Dowler, Freshman Eamon Crossley, Creighton Moore, Brian Lynch, and Luke Tee It Up Cheney. Now, most of the players on the team were looking forward to competing for a league title. Yes, we knew that it was a lofty goal, but we also knew that on any given day, we could beat any of those other 5 teams. It would take relentless practice, especially chipping and putting. It would take the utmost dedication, determination, and desire. It didn't happen. We finished tied for 5th in the league with an underachieving 9-7 record. We did qualify for states. In Division 4, we're ranked 15 out of 20, and we will be playing on Wednesday. We learned a great deal from this season, and these lessons learned will no doubt help us in the future since everyone will be returning next year except for Tommy and Kyle. The things we learned this season. We learned that if you want to be in better shape physically during the season, then you should run the 9 holes after you play them. No matter how bad a golfer you are, you still don't hit a 5-iron when you're 80 yards from the green. We learned that you cannot tee up the ball in the fairway. You should not hit your opponent's ball by accident, since yours has Chappaq Golf stamped on it. We learned that you can't put your clubs away in June and pick them up in April and expect to compete for a league title. When there's a wind chill of 35 degrees, wearing shorts to your match will eventually affect, among other things, the outcome of your round. We learned that getting your license is definitely more important than winning the league title. We learned that we'd rather play in the fall golf due to the horrible weather conditions in the spring. We learned that this is a varsity sport. It has a very competitive nature to it. It is possible to shoot 59 for 9 holes and have more than half of those strokes be taken on putts. We learned that when you're putting with a 40-mile-an-hour wind, you need to barely tap the ball. Geese poop is very difficult to get off your golf shoes. You can make a birdie and still shoot 69 for 9 holes. We learned that rangefinders are for checking your distance to the pin, not for checking out the Hotchkiss schoolgirls sunbathing in front of the dorms. But most importantly, we learned that if you're having a miserable day where you failed a math test, you broke up with your girlfriend, the frog you were dissecting in Workie's class was not cooperating, your debate team in Stintz's class lost, the $1,000 your grandpa gave you of Google stock just lost half its value, and you're having a terrible day on the links. You need to gut it out and finish your round. You just can't call it a day and walk off into the sunset, because golf is played on a 5.5-inch course. The 5.5 inches between your ears. Bobby Jones. The weather conditions, as I was saying, were very tough at the beginning. So we started shooting in rounds of 200. We improved to the low 180s by mid-season, and one of our proudest moments was when we traveled to Litchfield, who eventually would win a league title with an impressive 15-1 record. On that day, we challenged ourselves to play the way we knew we were capable of playing. All 5 players stepped up big time, with each of them breaking 50 in a match for the first time all season. Griffin Yalagan, 38, Robert McCarthy, 40, Andrew Lloyd, 42, Mike Taylor, 47, and Joseph Freeland, 49, for a season best score of 167. And by the way, that score turned out to be the 4th best round shot all year by any team in the league. Unfortunately, Litchfield also stepped it up on that day and shot their best round of the year by some 11 shots. We bring out the best in everyone. They shot an impressive 162. But that in no way diminished the effort by our guys. I'm extremely proud of the way we rose to the occasion on that day. Our proudest moment of the season was at the Berkshire League All-Star Tournament. As I was driving up to the school to pick up the guys, I was thinking about the BL rankings and how we had an outside chance of putting 2 players on the All-Star team, since Griffin was coming in ranked 4th and Robert was 7th. The top 7 make the All-Star team. 2/3 of it is based on your performance during the season, and 1/3 gets added in from your 18-hole play on that day. Now, every year I like to use a line or two from a popular rap song in tonight's speech. So as I'm driving, the song Airplanes by B.O.B. comes on, and for the next 15 minutes, I couldn't get the lines from this song out of my head. I could really use a wish right now, wish right now, wish right now. I could really use a wish right now, wish right now, wish right now. And that wish was to have 2 players make the All-Star team, something that had not happened since the days of Hunt and Harkness back in 2003. Well, wishes do come true. I'm not calling them the odd couple anymore. It's now the dynamic duo. Are you ready for this? Griffin Yolagin comes in with an outstanding career-best 18-hole score of 78 to put him in the lead. 5 minutes later, here comes Robert McCarthy with a sweet career-best 5 over par 77 to clinch medalist honors. It marked only the second time in Chappaqua golf history that 2 players broke 80 at this tournament. I am so, so, so proud of you guys. By the way, Mr. Parachi and I received an email today from the Torrington Register that Robert and Griffin have been named to their all-area team. Now, as a team, we know what we are capable of accomplishing, with Robert and Griffin leading the way. It is just a matter of being more consistent as a team. I know, easier said than done, but it's not. If you diligently put the time in during the off-season, study the game so you become a student of it, look at every aspect of the game in detail, learn the fine points, then there's no doubt in my mind that this team could compete for a league title next year. Along with the other things I mentioned, we must improve our mental preparation and toughness. Because as I said earlier, golf is played on a 5.5-inch course. The 5.5 inches between your ears. Bobby Jones. Some of us have to lose this mentality that you just want to play for fun. This is a competitive varsity sport at the high school level. If you want to just play for the fun of it, that's what we golf is for. Now, I'd like to thank Mr. Parachi, Mrs. Gallo, the parents, the teachers for allowing the players to miss class, most of the parents, especially Mr. Moore, for picking up the players. The spring was horrible, the weather was horrible. We played it we had to play at 4 or 5 different courses, so they were picking their kids up basically all over the place. So thank you again. And now it's time for some awards.
Now for the presentation of awards. As most of you know, the awards presented tonight are determined based upon the Chappaqua Valley Athletic Point System, which is explained on pages 5 through 9 of your program. It should be noted that this point system rewards the athletes for their service to Chappaqua. Multi-sport and multi-year athletes are those who receive the top awards in our program. Each athlete who competes in a sport at Chappaqua Valley High School is given points by his or her coach at the completion of each season based upon this point system. While athletes of all levels are given points, only varsity letter winners can qualify for awards and are invited to tonight's ceremony. Because of the large number of award winners honored tonight, we will present some awards in 2 groups. All award winners are asked to enter the stage directly in front of me, to stay on the stage until all the award winners have been presented their awards, and to exit on the opposite side of the stage once all award winners have been honored. Tonight's first student awards are presented to our first-time letter winners. An athlete can win a varsity letter in one of 2 different ways. The first and most common way an athlete can win a letter is to have competed at the varsity level during the athletic season and have his or her coach designate them as a varsity letter winner based upon criteria that coach has determined and explained at the beginning of the season. The second way an athlete can be determined a varsity letter winner is for an athlete to have accumulated 250 points before being named a varsity letter winner by his or her coach. Athletes who have accomplished this, which is a task that takes much determination and persistence, are awarded what is called an accumulated letter. Each first-time letter winner receives a traditional white and blue Chappaqua varsity letter S. As I announce the names of each letter winner, I like each to come forward to receive his or her letter and to stay until I have called each and every letter winner. Noelia Aguirre. Kyle Anderson. Dylan Bennett. Ryan Ballard. Lauren Bressman. Jordan Buchholz. Capolazzi. Alejandro Cespedes. Alyssa Sissio. Zach Collette. Julie Collins. John DeFont. David DeMayo. Lauren DeRochers. Natalie Diller. Connor Dusky. Austin Dutcher. Nico Fiorito. Mariah Fischetti. Sadie Fleming. Sandra Garcia. Rachel Genoa. Madeline Gora. Andrew Grenier. Dean Hill. Allison Hoffman. And the last of our first half of our first-time letter winners, Paige Johnson. Congratulations to our first-time letter winners. And now for our second half of our first-time letter winners, Cody Jordan. Josh Jordan. Will Copley. Bruce Levine. Emma Lovelace. Brian McKay. Shannon Miller. Kaylee Mulhare. Anna Maria O'Rourke. Sean Parker. Samantha Patrick. Tia Fran. Fernando Perez. Jared Floyd. Emily Prezioso. Thomas Roche. Annie Moser. Connor Scher. Lon Seeger. Emily Taylor. Mike Taylor. Ashley Reinglass. Sean Welsh. Jenna Williams. Bobby Wilson. Margaret Woke. Dick Yedowitz. And our last first-time letter winner for 2014, Luke Wright. Congratulations to our first-time letter winners. Thank you. Our next group of award winners are the award pin winners. These athletes are return letter winners who will receive an award pin representing each sport he or she earned a varsity letter in this year. Alex Amato. Anthony Amato. Nick Andrews. Haley Bresson. Ken Buell. Claire Keiko. Rachel Crossley. Colin Decker. Lindsay Del Vecchio. Jackie Dorwald. Jimmy Fairbairn. Marcus Fragamelli. Joseph Freeland. Mike Kalinsky. Dan Geyer. Kyle Goldstein. Bianca Gomez. Gianna Johnson. Maren Keith. James Kish. Kate Klein. Dan Coates. And the last of our first half of award pin winners, Big Ben Levine. Congratulations to our first group of award pin winners. Thank you. Now for our second group of award pin winners, Julia Lindblom, Trevor McGinty, Kate McGrath, Creighton Moore, Lyden Buella, Sasha Piskuskas, Josh Quarford, Nick Quarford, Eric Twist, Logan Rods, Jenna Raymond, Kendall Ross, Mary Beth Seaver, Nate Steers, Sarah Stratton, John Swanson, Katie Tracy, Whitney Walsh, Daisy Wanner, Ryan Welsh, Dakota Wilson, Veronica Winthrop, Ed Wolf, Andrew Wright, and the last award pin winner, Jade Walker. Congratulations to our award pin winners. Thank you. Our next award is presented to those that have accumulated 450 points and have earned the Chippewa Valley varsity jacket. In order to accumulate 450 points, an athlete must have participated in more than one sport. This year, in addition to juniors and seniors, we have some sophomores who have earned varsity jackets, which is a significant accomplishment since it's the best award possible for a 10th grader to receive. Alden Kane. Ray Cook. David DeMayo. Travis Fitch. David Geyer. Will Harris. Sam Jones. Caroline Kelly. Ryan LeMay. Sean Lavelle. Andrew Loya. Tia Martino. Tom McCluskey. Wes Meeker. Molly Mercier. And the last of our first half of varsity jacket winners, Brianna Miller. Congratulations, varsity jacket winners. Thank you. Now for our second half of varsity jacket winners, Samantha Moravsky. Leah Moon. Dan Ahn. Haley Pesci. Freddie Pitcher. Joe Roche. Clayton Schneider. Caitlin Smith. Christian Stewart. Emma Verbickus. Taylor Weston. Margot Wilhelm. Sarah Williams. Stephen Williams. Our last varsity jacket winner of 2014, Griffin Yolagin. Congratulations, varsity jacket winners. Our next award is presented to those who have accumulated 600 points and will be awarded a Chicago Spartan 600-point plaque. The earliest an athlete can win this award is in 11th grade, and along with many seniors, there are also some juniors who have reached the 600-point mark. Allie Drizal. Clayton Fernando. Travis Fitch. David Geyer. Kelsey Johnson. Alex Kleisner. Sam Krebs. Andrew Loya. Robert McCarthy. Molly Mercier. Summer Mercier. Haley Munson. Bria Noon. Freddie Pitcher. Hannah Redstone. Josh Retzel. Gemma Roche. Lorraine Rosa. Caitlin Smith. Sarah Weston. Our last 600-point winner, Margot Wilhelm. Congratulations to our 600-point winners. The Berkshire League annually honors those students who are successful not only in athletics, but in academics as well. The Berkshire League Scholar Athlete Award goes to any athlete who has earned a varsity letter while academically achieving high honors. For fall sports, an athlete must achieve high honors in the first marking period. For winter sports, it must be done during the second marking period, and for spring sports, it must be done during the third marking period. We ask that the Berkshire League Scholar Athletes please come forward to receive your certificate when your name is called. Rachel Crossley. Haley Pesci. Paige Johnson. Will Harris. Noelia Aguirre. Madeline Gora. Caroline Kelly. Summer Mercier. Samantha Murawski. Samantha Patrick. Kimberly Valentine. Kelsey Hall. Sarah Williams. Clara Wolf. Alejandra Cespedes. Nathan Ahn. John Swanson. Sam Krebs. Kelsey Johnson. John DeFont. Bruce Levine. Clayton Farmender. Lauren Bresson. Emma Lovelace. Emily Prezioso. Ashley Wagenblatt. Mike Taylor. Dan Cotis. Caitlin Smith. And Clayton Schneider. Congratulations, Berkshire League Scholar Athletes. The Chippewa Valley Scholar Athlete Awards are given to the top senior boy and top senior girl student athletes who have displayed a commitment to excellence in the area of academics as well as athletics. This year's Scholar Athletes have consistently made sacrifices throughout their high school careers. Both are Berkshire League Scholar Athletes, High Honor Roll students, and Berkshire League All-Stars. This year's Scholar Athletes are Clara Wolf and Nathan Ahn. Award winners, those who have reached the 800-point mark will receive a silver 800-point trophy. This year's group of 800-point athletes, winners, are some of the most dedicated, consistent, and valuable multi-sport athletes at Chicago. Our first 800-point winner for 2014, Kelsey Hall. Our next 800-point winner, Nathan Ahn. Our next 800-point winner, Summer Mercier. Our last 800-point winner for 2014, Kimberly Valentine. Congratulations to our 800-point winners. This year, we have had students named to Berkshire League All-Star teams in their respective sports, as well as All-State athletes. Berkshire League All-Stars received their awards at last night's Berkshire League All-Star Banquet, but we would like to recognize their achievements here tonight. I would like to ask each All-Star athlete to please stand when his or her name is called. Sarah Stratton, All-State and a Berkshire League All-Star in soccer. Clara Wolf, All-State and a Berkshire League All-Star in cross country and a Berkshire League All-Star in swimming. Andrew Loya, All-State and a Southwest Conference All-Star in hockey. Colin Decker, All-State and a Berkshire League All-Star in swimming. Hannah Redstone, a Berkshire League All-Star in field hockey. Veronica Winthrop, Berkshire League All-Star in field hockey. Kelsey Johnson, Berkshire League All-Star in field hockey and softball. Caroline Kelly, Berkshire League All-Star in soccer and tennis. Griffin Yalagan, Berkshire League All-Star in golf. Robert McCarthy, Berkshire League All-Star in golf. Haley Pesci, Berkshire League All-Star in swimming. Margot Wilhelm, Berkshire League All-Star in swimming and track. Kelsey Hall, Berkshire League All-Star in swimming and track. Freddie Pitcher, Berkshire League All-Star in swimming. Ken Buell, Berkshire League All-Star in swimming. David Dyer, Berkshire League All-Star in swimming. Clayton Furmender, Berkshire League All-Star in swimming. Nathan Ahn, a Berkshire League All-Star in swimming. Samantha Moravsky, state champion and All-State in javelin and a Berkshire League All-Star in track. Samantha Patrick, Berkshire League All-Star in track. Caitlin Smith, a Berkshire League All-Star in track. Logan Oz, Berkshire League All-Star in baseball. And last but not least, Travis Fitch, Berkshire League All-Star in baseball. Congratulations to all of our All-State and All-Star athletes. 1,000-point award winners are those athletes who have been consistent three-sport athletes throughout their high school careers. This year's 1,000-point award recipients have not only been dedicated and consistent, but they have also shown leadership, responsibility, athletic excellence, and sportsmanship throughout their high school athletic careers here at Chicago. Our first 1,000-point winner of 2014, Kelsey Hall. Award winner, Kimberly Valentine. Our last 1,000-point winner for 2014, Clara Wolf. Congratulations to our 1,000 We have now come to the two top awards given based upon the Chippewa Valley Athletic Point System, the Joseph Babcock Award and the Charles McInnes Award. These awards are given to the top senior girl and top senior boy point winners each year. It is important to note that these awards are based upon point totals and they are not judgments of athletic ability. However, it is also important to note that an athlete cannot win either of these awards without being one of the school's elite athletes. Winners of the Babcock and McInnes Award are those athletes who have consistently made the greatest contributions to their respective athletic teams from freshman year until senior year. The Joseph Babcock Award, which goes to the senior girl who has accumulated the most points, was initiated in 1980 by the Chippewa Valley High School coaching staff. Joseph Babcock was an avid sports fan that rarely missed a field hockey, girls basketball, or softball game. Mr. Babcock has had this award, as well as a scoreboard in the gymnasium named in his memory. As a member of the cross-country, swimming, and track teams, the winner of the 2014 Joseph Babcock Award is Clara Wolf. Charles McInnes Award, which goes to the senior boy who has accumulated the most points in his class, was established in 1962 by the Washington High School coaching staff. Charles McInnes was an avid Washington High School sports fan who has had this prestigious award named in his memory. As a member of the cross-country, swimming, and track teams, the winner of the 2014 Charles McInnes Award is Nathan Iron. Congratulations, Nate and Clara. We have one last award to give out, and it does not go to an individual, it goes to an entire program. Each year, schools in Connecticut are recognized for excellence in overall athletic programs through the Michaels Cup. This prestigious program bases awards upon overall win-loss record, chemical-free policies and procedures, scholarships, and finally, sportsmanship. It's my honor on behalf of the Chippewa Athletic Department, as one of 16 schools in the entire state and only 3 in Class S recognized for having an exemplary athletic program, to present the Michaels Cup to Principal Kimberly Gallo. On behalf of the entire Chicago High School faculty, I'd like to wish each and every award winner congratulations. Thank you to everyone in attendance tonight. And before you drive home safely, please join us for desserts in the mall.